So, okay, we continue with the Midrash about Yaakov and Rachel and Leah. So, this is on page 36 of Sefer Ha-Aggadah, and the Midrash deals with the question: How was Lavan able to deceive Yaakov? So we spoke about the Pshat. According to the Pshat, Rachel and Leah were probably twins, and even identical twins. The only difference between them was the eyes. So if you didn't see the eyes up close, you couldn't tell them apart. The Midrash struggles with that. But the story that they tell us is an interesting story, you could say. A story that applies to politics, that applies to businessmen, it applies to what Hazal called, don't put an obstacle in the path of a blind man, meaning that you're going to use other people to achieve your goal, and you're telling them something which is not true. So the Midrash says the following: ויאסוף לבן את כל אנשי המקום ויעש משתה, כינס כל אנשי מקומו, אמר להם, יודעים אתם שהיינו דחוקים למים, וכיוון שבא הצדיק הזה לכאן, נתברכו המים. So you know that before Yaakov came here, we didn't have enough water. Now the water is blessed because of him. This is also based on the pasuk that much later Lavan tells Yaakov, Nihashti vayivarecheni Hashem b'gilalecha. Hashem blessed me because of you. Why are they relating the bracha to water? Because it's a play word in Hebrew. Bracha, brecha, pool. So later on in Kabbalah, that you could see, especially in Rabbeinu Bahaye and the Ramban, they were called Mekor HaBrachot wa Brecha HaElyona, the divine pool or spring where the water comes from. So Lavan comes and talks to the people of his town, and he knows that if he tells them that directly, I want to deceive Yaakov, they wouldn't support him. So he says, listen, I'm not doing it for myself, I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it to benefit you. And what is going to be your benefit? That you're going to have a steady supply of water, because we had problems with the water supply, and because of Yaakov, we had this blessing that we have abundance of water. Amru lo umar etzonecha. So what do you suggest? How can we keep him in town? Basically, he said, I want to make sure that Yaakov stays in town, that doesn't run away. They said, how can we do that? Amar lahem, אם אתם מבקשים אני מרמה אותו, ויתן לו את לאה, שהוא אוהב הרבה את רחל, ויעשה אצלכם 7 שנים אחרות. Say, if you wish, I will deceive him and give him לאה, and then he will stay another 7 years for רחל. But see, the nice thing in the Midrash, אם אתם מבקשים, if you're really interested, they were not interested. He planted the thought in their heads, we need water, and I could get Yaakov to stay. They say, oh really, can you do that? He says, yeah, you want me to do that? They say yes. Now they all became his accomplices. You know that's the system of corrupt politicians and corrupt administrators, is to make sure that as many people are involved in the crime as they are. So when the time comes to be indicted, nobody speaks up, because they're all accomplices. When I was
that's Clinton.
No, wait, don't mention. No, that's why I said administrators. I give you an example that is completely, like almost ancient. When I was in high school, we had our kitchen was a school called Kiryat Noor Yerushalayim, state of the art, feeding 1,500 people a day with the best technology from the United States. The school was sponsored with really beautiful donations, and they had everything, the Department of Electronics, mechanics, people would go work with the Air Force. Kiryat Noor Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, Ken. Yeshiva Tichonit Berom Zion. The only problem with this school was the kitchen. The food was horrible. It was like inedible at times. And the guy who ran the kitchen sometimes would get fresh. We would see the fresh bread coming out from the truck, and he would leave it out for 2-3 days to give stale bread. This way he uses less bread, and you could never get normal food. And for years, so people would eat less bread. This way he gets 1,500 loaves, but only 700 are eaten. So we didn't know why he's doing that. Only in retrospect. What happened eventually, that when there was a kollel of the graduates of Kiryat Noor, we had a kollel in the building, and they asked for special meat when they are served lunch, Bet Yosef, or whatever, and he said, yes, I'm giving you this meat, and as being, the kollel people are a little more concerned about the kashrut, so they went and they wanted to look at the packages. They found out that he was cheating them. So a whole scandal started, and one thing led to another, and it turned out that for years, this man, Yossi is his name, this man would take all the fresh produce, all the whatever he saved or not, feeding all the students. So most of them, I was not in dorm. I only came. I live in Yerushalayim. I only came for the maybe breakfast sometimes. But people who relied on these meals 3 times a day, he saved as much money as he could, put it in his pocket for almost 30 years. How wicked can a person be? The problem was when they tried to sort of remove him from power in the school, it took him more than a year, because it turned out that anyone who worked with him in the kitchen, in the administration, would get from him loads of food, of money, and that. And so everybody becomes an accomplice. So you cannot remove him, because it's like the whole system is corrupt. So no one would testify against another. So this is what Lavan does. Lavan says, "Let us all together cheat Yaakov, so you will be blessed." So now nobody could be accused. Amru lo, aseh kirtzonecha. So say, okay, that's a great idea. We will help you deceive Yaakov. So now Lavan doesn't stop there. He already made them accomplices, but he has to throw a big party. He doesn't want to spend money on the party. Let's make them sin and pay for it. So how does he do that? Amar lahem, tnu li mashkonot she'en echad mikem mefarsem oti. I want collaterals. Give me a guarantee that you're not going to blow the whistle on me, to say the truth. Alchu ve'eviu lo mashkonot, alach ve'eviu behem yain ve'shemen u'basar. So he took all the collaterals and went and sold them and got the food for the party. It's like he takes from one pocket and puts in the other. So and they give a big party, they dance and all that. Amar lehem Yaakov, zo mahi, amru lo ata gamalta chesed bizchutcha, gam anu nigmor chesed imach. So they kept. It's not unlike today that people do the weddings at night. They used to do the wedding where there was still light, because artificial light was expensive. So he said, "Why are you so happy? We're dragging the wedding all the way to the night." They said, "No, you brought us blessing with the water. We also want to pay you back." It's like a very intricate game of deception. Hayu mekalesim lefanav ve'amru halaya halaya. That's I'm sure you know this tradition. They say that the reason why at the wedding among the Sfaradim the women do the what we call la 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 la, right? They say this has come from the time of Lavan and Rachel, Lavan and Leah, that the people say, we're not lying. We told you la 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 la. He says, why didn't you tell me it's Leah? We said. He says, all night we are la 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 la. So that is the nice folk tale, but it's in the Midrash. They say halaya halaya, No. So according to this Midrash, where was Rachel? Rachel was probably what?
Under the bed.
No, before the bed. You probably tied her up and put her in the room. She can't go out. There's a different Midrash. La'erev ba'u ha'bachurim. Taped her mouth, right, with the thread. La'erev ba'u ha'bachurim v'chibu et hanerot. Now when it came dark and people started putting candles, the young men came and put them off. They put them out. Amar lahem zo mahi. He says, why are you putting out the light? Amru lo ma ata savur she'anu prutzim kamotchem. He said, we're not like you. You are immodest. I mean, it's not nice that people will see what is happening in the wedding. It's better to keep it that way. So layer upon layer of deception. Kol oto halayla haya koreh la Rachel והיא עונה לו בבוקר והיא עונה לו. So all the night he talks to Rachel, she says yes, בבוקר והנה היא לאה. So in the morning when they got up, either he asked her to bring him a cup of coffee, or he was a gentleman and he went to get her a cup of coffee, which probably he didn't because he didn't have coffee at the time. And not until 500 years ago but maybe fresh milk, right? So they come back with the monk. He looks at her. He says, "What? Who are you?" Veinei Leah. Right? The Israelis remember a song by Tzvika Peak. Et roshech enacht al hakar. So he tells the story of how she wakes up in the morning and he sees her and how sad she is, because don't think for her it was also traumatic that she has to cheat him and become a wife. But the Midrash says it differently. That she's very she looks at it as a business deal. She has to have a husband, she wants to have children, and if she has to deceive her sister for that, so be it. So Amarla, and so in the morning he sees Leah, very sharp words in the Midrash. Amarla, ma? Rama'id bat Ramai. You're a crook. The daughter of a crook. You cheated me. Your father cheated me. ולא הייתי קורא לך רחל בלילה ואת עונה לי. I called you Rachel and you said it's me. אמרה לו, יש סופר שאין לו תלמידים? Do you know a teacher with no students? לא ככה היה קורא לך אביך עשיו ואתה עונה לו? She said, he can't answer. He cannot answer. This is the beauty of the story. She says, oh, every teacher has students. When your father called you and said, are you Esav? And you said, yes, right? So I did the same. You called me Rachel. I said, yes, no problem. So that is Midah Keneged Midah. That is where you see, both in the Torah and in the Midrash, they say, whatever you do, you're going to come back and bite you. And he did it to Yaakov.
I thought that Leah and Rachel actually cooperated.
Yes.
Right?
According to one Midrash. There are different versions. But I said, according to the Pshat, probably they were able to deceive him because they were twins. They looked exactly the same, except for a certain eye problem that Leah had. So only if you look closely, very, very close, or you can see it. After that, we have an interesting, one last thing here that we find in the Midrash, that we know that Leah had children, Rachel had no children. So at a certain point, Rachel comes to Yaakov and she says, Hava li banim v'im ayin meta anochi. Give me children or I'll die. Now, what did she mean when she said that? If you stop there, you don't know yet what she means, but you know, if you keep reading, that she said, Hinena shifhati bo elea ve'ibane gam anochi al birkia. She says, take my maid and marry her, because that was the custom at the time. This was considered like a surrogate mother. Even though we know we find in Tanakh, Avraham and Hagar, Rachel and Bilhah, that it's not just, marry my maid and have children. No, it's for the mother, for the wife to have children. It was considered a surrogate mother, and they actually had contracts for that. Contracts were found from the ancient Near East that are adoption papers for a surrogate son that was born to the man by the maid of his wife. It was a whole process. So she already had that in mind. So why didn't she come to Yaakov and say, she could have come and say, I have a solution for being childless. No, she comes, Havali banim, give me children. What did she want? She wanted empathy. She wanted Yaakov to say, I feel for you, I know it's difficult, I love you, I don't know what to do. But when she came with this confrontation, Yaakov didn't know what to do, because he was thinking like a man. And men think in terms of solutions. They have to provide solutions. So she says, Havali banim. She says, how am I going to do that? I'm not God. God didn't give you children. What can I do? Now, this is a classic example of miscommunication between men and women, especially husband and wife, where each one of them comes from a different point of view, but each one of them interprets the other one as speaking from his point of view. So, this is something that communication experts have studied for years. Deborah Tannen writes about this. It's a book called You Just Don't Understand. And she says how in the communication between women and men, the first priority of women is to receive empathy and commiseration for people understanding her. Second layer, she would want a solution later on. Men are concerned first and foremost with the solution. And they don't like to appear as if they have no solution, because that shows weakness. That's why men don't like asking for directions. Right? That's why God blessed us with a GPS, so we don't have to ask for directions. But still,
Especially not from women. No?
right, but still, the twist is it comes in a woman's voice. Because if it would be a man's voice, men wouldn't listen to it. It's proven, that that they proved it also. They tried to do a GPS in a man's voice, and men would do like, "Who are you to tell me what to do?" They wouldn't listen to a man. To a woman, it's like nice after. Yeah. Anyway, so what happens between Yaakov and Rachel? She says, "Hava li banim." She wants empathy. Tell me, I love you. I care for you. Okay. No. He says, I can't give you a solution. I'm sorry. I'm not God. God didn't give you children. The rabbi said, you know what happened? When he said that, his emphasis was, I am not God. Her emphasis, what she heard was, you have no children. What she heard him saying was, I have children from Leah. You have no children. Like it's your problem. And she got hurt. So the rabbi said that because of that, he had to pay. He was punished because of that. The Midrash says, is this a way to talk to a woman in distress? That's not a way. And he was punished. How was he punished? Many, many years later, because of this animosity between his two wives, there was also animosity between their children. And Yosef's brothers sold him as a slave. And then he became a viceroy. Then they came to Egypt. And then years later, when Yaakov passed away, they never spoke about it. They never said, we apologize. So they thought that after Yaakov died, that now he's going to pay them back. So they came to Yosef and they said, your father said, please forgive your brothers, and if you want, we will be your servants. And then Yosef starts crying, and he says, I'm not going to do anything to you. I'm not God. Everything was, God wanted it this way, and even if I wanted to punish you, I'm not God. It's only in His hands, the punishment. The words he uses in Hebrew, Hatahat Elohim Anochi, am I God? It's the same exact words that his father Yaakov told his mother Rachel when she asked for children. He said, Hatahat Elohim Anochi, I'm not God. So it's like, amazing how it comes around in the story that, like telling you, all this animosity between the brothers could have been prevented if Yaakov would have been more sensitive towards his two wives and communicate with them directly. Okay, we'll stop here. Baruch Adonai, le'olam.